Valheim launched in February of 2021 and quickly rose to critical and commercial acclaim, selling 1 million, no, 2 million, no, actually 5 million copies within its first month. Capitalizing on that success, Iron Gate has released 7 major updates in the past 4 years and has transformed the game from what we first saw in 2021. Today, we look back at the past, review the current state, and most importantly, discuss the future of Valheim and speculate on when we might receive its highly anticipated 1.0 release. Following the massive and unexpected success of Valheim's launch, the team quickly abandoned their now infamous roadmap to focus on bug fixes and performance optimizations to accommodate the massive influx of players until September of 2021 with the Hearth and Home update. Being the game's first significant patch, many of its systems were balanced with a focus on food, adding a new iron cooking station, oven, and 3 cauldron upgrades. However, new content was not restricted to food, as one of the focal points being the addition of tar pits in the plains and the daunting growths. The introduction of tar from those pits incorporated a vast new set of darkwood build pieces, but also delivered for the Viking warriors with new weapons, shields, and permanent fixtures in the garbage disposing obliterator, a multiplayer supporting cartography table. And better yet, a saddle was added enabling the riding of locks. Upon reflection, I think it was wise for the Iron Gate team to abandon the roadmap in favor of an update such as Hearth and Home, and to date, I still believe this was the most broadly impactful update the game has seen, only perhaps surpassed by the game's most recent update we will get to shortly. In many ways, it helped further secure the foundation of Valheim and paved the path forward for future content that was soon to come. That said, as you will soon see, almost all the original roadmap items have since been added to the game, maybe not as quickly as originally expected. But Hearth and Home was not the last we would hear from the Iron Gate studio in 2021, as a sneaky update launched in November, releasing with only this ominous text in their patch notes, bringing one of the most iconic and in my opinion best designed creatures Valheim has ever seen. Abomination spawns were added to the swamps to emerge from the earth, surprising unsuspecting Vikings. The groan, emergence animation, and emphatic sound effects associated with this creature are still one of, if not my personal favorite. Further, originating from the root, we received the gnarly looking root armor, and shortly after, an armor stand recipe to showcase our collection. As Iron Gate closed the door on 2021, the doors opened for 2022 and delivered maybe the best year of Valheim to date. The year started strongly with the Frost Caves release March 1st, marking the first of 2 major updates in this calendar year. The New Mountains dungeon brought us 3 new creatures in the Ulv, Cultist, and the bane of my existence, bats. Clearing these dungeons introduced new resources to gather and items to craft, with my favorite armor still to this day in the Fenris, and new fist weapon, the Flesh Rippers. To top this update off, new buildables made their way into the game in jute carpets, curtains, and the standing brazier. Unfortunately, also the nuisance that is the You Stirred the Cauldron event. Following the Frost Caves, the long-awaited Mistlands update finally did launch at the end of 2022, adding the first new biome since Valheim's inception, and to this day, perhaps being the most controversial of Valheim's updates. The existing Mistlands were transformed from a web-covered landscape to a deep and mysterious cloud of fog. Included in this update was all that you would expect from a new biome, and a new boss, creatures, weapons, armor, foods, build pieces, crafting stations, but perhaps most importantly, a brand new mana mechanic with the introduction of Eider and spellcasting staves. Not to mention, perhaps the best casual soundtrack of any biome to date. Apart from the usual expected in a new biome, aspects unrelated were updated such as fishing, which received a skill, and the fish themselves were transformed from generic to biome specific and given varying quality levels. Despite all this, the Mistlands received mixed reviews from players, with many citing the lack of visibility within the biome and stamina draining cliff faces as a blight on the overall Valheiming experience. In spite of this, the Mistlands has grown on me over the past 2 years. In many ways, it's the most mechanically varied biome, diverse with its creatures, resources, and gameplay, plus complemented with rewarding progression. I've learned to appreciate the rare moments when you find a break from the mist or peer above the clouds and seize the opportunities to take in the gorgeous and often overlooked landscape. 2023, unlike its previous year, focused less on new content but more on expanding the game to a wider audience with its Xbox release in March of 2023, augmented by accessibility features later that year. Naturally, it was not completely without new toys for players to enjoy, as just prior to the Xbox release, the fishing hat was added to take advantage of the new fish from the Mistlands update in February. Apart from that, one of the more interesting and unexpected updates dropped in the summer of 2023 with Hildir's Request. For the first time, a new vendor was added to join our boy Haldor. With Hildir, players were given 3 quests to overcome dungeons and their mini-bosses in the Black Forest, mountains, and plains for treasure enabling all kinds of role-playing clothing from her shop. With Hildir, Valheim became much more customizable with new hairstyles, beards, and a vast list of modifiers, enabling players to tweak their worlds to their liking and allowing for different ways for Vikings to play their favorite game. Hildir may have been the first NPC added to the game, but was certainly not the last, as we discuss shortly in the present and future of Valheim. 2024 slides in right alongside 2022 as perhaps the best and most broadly impactful year in Valheim development, with 2 major updates dropping with the first of 2 endgame biomes in the Ashlands in May of that year. In this biome, you traverse the dangerous jutting rocks in the massive new Drakkar Viking ship, avoid terrifying bone serpents, and land in an ashen and unforgiving wasteland that has quickly gained a reputation as the most difficult biome to date. Alongside the usual new features expected in a new biome, new mechanics were introduced, making for a vastly unique experience. Fortresses find themselves as a focal point of this biome as key obstacles to conquer with siege weapons in the catapult and battering ram. Inside and across the Ashen Wasteland, players found the Charred to overcome and gather precious gemstones, which can be embedded in any Ashlands weapon for 3 unique elemental powers, allowing for the most weapon combinations yet seen in any Valheim biome. Again, like the Mistlands before it, the Ashlands was received with mixed results, with many players citing the difficulty as a turnoff. Fortunately, the Irongate team did hear players, and the immense number of creatures in the biome have been reduced, making for a more balanced experience. Shortly after the Ashlands, Mac gamers rejoiced as Valheim officially launched on Apple computers. Incredibly, 2024 was not complete as a surprise content drop came in October, delivering a brand new NPC, a vast new set of meads, and further revamped the food system with the Bog Witch. The cauldron was split into 3 with the addition of the preparation table, mead kettle, and new food items called feasts, craftable with ingredients purchased from the new swamp NPC. Further, new skills were added and various quality of life features long desired by the Valheim community. And as we close the chapter on 2024, we set our sights on 2025, the future of Valheim, and the inevitable final chapter, the Deep North. So, what do we know about the future of Valheim? As it turns out, not much. In fact, the only official release from the Irongate team has been this screenshot of the Northern Lights and what has now been confirmed as the final Valheim biome, and with its release, will signify the leaving of Early Access and officially usher in 1.0. Despite this, the developer team has been dropping breadcrumbs revealing details of what the future holds for this beloved game of ours, which I would be happy to share. First, while Irongate have confirmed pre-production of the Deep North has begun, it will likely be quite a while before we get this update, and to hold us over, it has been stated that we can expect at least one other update before 1.0. This would likely be smaller in scope and similar to the size of an update such as the recent Bog Witch. It's my belief that this might just be the small revamp to the ocean biome long been desired by passionate fans of this game. Turning our attention back to the Deep North, Irongate have said not to expect a spike in difficulty like seen in the Ashlands. While still considered an endgame biome, it suggested the difficulty would be comparable to the Ashen Wasteland, but less dense, with allowed moments of peace, described as landscapes that might just be fitting for a Christmas card. Further, comments from the devs on the topic of difficulty have made me speculate that the combination of Deep North and Ashlands may break the existing linear progress of Valheim. To explain what I mean, today you conquer the meadows, move to the Black Forest, swamp, and so on, with the current experience ending in the Ashlands. I think that following 1.0's release, players once finished with the Mistlands will have options to choose from the Ashlands or Deep North to progress to next. What makes me believe this further is that while the Deep North will of course be its own biome, with new resources, weapons, armor, and boss like any other, the Irongate team have indicated the game will receive a proper ending with this release, and I think we just might get another boss beyond what is in the Deep North for one final battle, releasing us into Valhalla. Perhaps Loki or even Odin himself. Of course, the details of the content within this biome are at the minimum. Gribcore, a Valheim dev, did say in an interview that he hopes they will be able to add a new weapon for every weapon class that currently exists in the game, and also that the Deep North will introduce a creature bigger than any boss we have seen to date. Jotun, perhaps? Aside from releasing the new biome, they have emphasized they want this update to feel like a true 1.0. To deliver on this promise, in addition to the Deep North, they plan to release at least small additions to every biome to make for a truly new experience from start to finish, encouraging new and returning players to start a fresh playthrough. On top of that, you can expect a full suite of achievements to be added for both Steam and Xbox, and some sort of mod support. Alright, so when are we gonna see 1.0? Deep North when, right? Like I said, we have no confirmed date, but I can provide my best speculation as to when I think we could see it. Based on previous major update deliveries, there were 7 months between release and Hearth and Home, about 14 months between Hearth and Home and the Mistlands, and another 17 before we saw the Ashlands. Considering the scope of 1.0 release and past development timelines, my best case scenario would be the holiday season of November or December of 2025. That said, realistically, I think we will be waiting until 2026, with maybe February being ideal to align with the 5th anniversary of Valheim. What do you want to see in 1.0? And let me know in the comments when you think we will receive it. And if you missed the recent Bogwitch update, I reveal all about it in this video, right here.